Last month, in July 2024, Kenyans in the diaspora sent a total of 53 billion shillings. That's an average of 1.8 billion sent home from Kenyans in the diaspora per day. Most of these people are sending money to their loved ones because they went to the diaspora for the sake of helping their families and their loved ones, while others are investing back home so that they can come back to a better country than they left it. However, you probably have heard of a Kenyan in the diaspora who sent a lot of money for the purpose of it being invested, and most Kenyans try to invest in real estate. They will be sending money for a house to be built or a shamba to be bought, and when the Kenyan in the diaspora returned to Kenya, he is surprised to learn that there is no piece of land that was bought, or the project that has been built is not the equivalent to the amount of money that he has been sending. This is a common challenge for many Kenyans who are taken advantage by unfortunately by their loved ones or by their acquaintances in Kenya, who think that they are swimming in money in the diaspora, while in fact they are working extra hard to earn this money that they hope will give them a better future. However, this does not have to be the case. As one of our readers testified, working in the diaspora, he came across a solution that enabled him to invest in real estate without having to buy a house or even build while he was living in the diaspora. You can imagine building is hard even when you are in Nairobi. Now it's harder when you are in the diaspora. So this guy really wanted to own something in real estate, but he was frustrated that he could not manage these projects while he was out working in the diaspora. Luckily for him, helping his brother find a hostel slot in Nairobi became a chance for him to become a landlord in the city. Brother was looking for a hostel that's dedicated to students, and after missing a slot in the hostels owned by the university, he went out looking for a hostel and came across one dedicated to students. And it had good amenities, and he shared to his elder brother who lives in the US, who was paying or who was making the payment for his upkeep. So the brother realizes this is a nice place and decides to check who is the owner out of curiosity, and he realizes the hostels are owned by small investors who put their money under a real estate investment trust. In other words, you call it an IRET, which is an income real estate investment trust. This is a company that owns income generating property on behalf of investors. One of those properties that are owned under an IRET is the 𝐂𝐤𝐢 hostels, and they are owned by the 𝐂𝐚 student accommodation IRET. So individual investors like you and me can put up money collectively, and the money we put in gives us a share of that building. So if it's a building worth 100 million and you put in 1,000,000 shillings, you own 1% of the building. So whenever there is rent and the expenses are deducted, the net profit, you get 1% of the profit because you own 1%. And if you own 0 point something, it will still be calculated as that. Now, if you own the building and after a few years, you can imagine property in Nairobi appreciates fast. So after a year, if the building rises to 110 million shillings, your shares also increase by a corresponding value. So if you are owning shares worth 1 million shillings, they will now be worth 1.1 million shillings as an example. Kenyans in the diaspora have a special chance to own real estate in Nairobi because one, they do not have to build, which is quite a challenge even for people in Nairobi or people in Kenya. And number two, they do not have to put the crazy amounts of money that it will take to build an income generating property in Nairobi. With as little as 5,000 shillings, you can invest in an IRET. For example, the VUCA Investment Club gives you a ticket to invest in the 𝐂𝐚 student accommodation IRET, which owns 𝐂𝐤𝐢 brand of hostels. And by putting in this money, you have a chance to own real estate, which has many benefits, including passive income. You are a landlord because you get a share of the rental yield through the dividends, and as the property appreciates, your shares also increase. You have greater liquidity as opposed to owning land in the middle of nowhere where finding a buyer can take you a long period of time. Number four, it's an opportunity for you to diversify your assets. For example, you already have a piece of land and you are worried about buying more idle land, or you already have your SACCO deposits, or you already have bonds. So it's a way for you to invest, to diversify your assets, because real estate is not as heavily affected by market forces. So for example, today when the interest rates are high, one of the highest returning investments is MMFs But when the interest rate is reduced by the central bank, the returns also reduce. If you have MMFs, then it will be a great idea to have some assets in real estate which are now backed by physical assets that will not be as heavily affected by market forces as, for example, MMFs or other financial assets would be. Money254.co.ke has written more about the VUCA rate, the returns, the benefits, as well as how Kenyans in the diaspora, as well as local investors, can put their money in the VUCA Investment Club and get to own a piece of prime property in Nairobi, including the Kwetu and Kejani brand of hostels. Click on the link in bio to learn more.